What's up? How we doing? So sorry about the head cold bats. That's no fun. That is no fun. I feel like I am dodging the plague right now because my wife has strep. Both the girls have strep. And for that reason, we're actually wrapping up stream early today. So I will go until 10:45, and then we're going to have to wrap it up. We're going to have to wrap it up because I got to get back home so that my wife can get to work. She's still going to go to work today. She's been on the medication for 24 hours, so she's allowed to go back to work without being infectious. And she feels up to it. So if she feels up to it, then we're going to let her go. I don't know if anybody else is just a crazy busybody, but my wife is very much the busybody type where she's like, she would be cray to stay home because it would drive her mad. Literally. Literally. Willy hitting a quitty. That's what I get for visiting parishioners who don't understand how face masks work. So sorry to hear about the strep. Yeah, that's the way it goes. I'm afraid not, Zando. I'm afraid not. I did turn off the button this time, so at least I remembered to turn it off. That's pretty good. That's a point in my favor. I'm gonna count that as a win. Oh, we gotta open a new pack! What's up, Quinley? How we doing? We gotta open a new movie game pack. That's very exciting. We only have 2 left! Remember to turn off the button is a major win, for real. See, Bats gets it. Bats, how was Divinity Original Sin last night? I wasn't able to join you because I had a meeting until like 9:30. But, I'd love to hear how it went. Yeah, this Zando guy just kept talking in the meeting last night, so I wasn't able to leave. Just kidding! I'm just kidding! I'm just kidding! Doing well, how are you doing? I'm doing good, Quinley. I am doing good. Like I said, my family is sick right now, but I feel good. I feel good, and so I'm taking the win. Meetings that go over, am I right? Ugh, the worst. Just got our Jeopardy questions. All right, Zando, your movie game before we do our Jeopardy questions is... A student wants to stand out above the crowd and impress his crush, but they don't see eye to eye, and she's too busy utilizing terrorist vigilante tactics to topple the fascist government that has taken over England and turned it into a police state. A bit wordy, but I think you got it. A student wants to stay up. You don't even need me to read it again? Yeah! A Goofy move, V for Vendetta. Love it. A classic. A true classic. When we look into each other's eyes. Seeing it eye to eye. Divinity was fun, entered the last major area of the game. Bats, Divinity has been perpetually on my backlog. One of these days I'm gonna play it. One of these days. But yeah. All right, let's get into some Jeopardy. Well, no, we'll wait one more minute because we're technically not at the 9 o'clock mark. Found a new show last night and I didn't even know that I was looking for it. Tell us about the show. We want to know the show. It's a great series. I mean, I'm serious. It's just one. It's not. There's no reason that I haven't played it. It just feels overwhelming. It feels overwhelming. One of these days. One of these days I'll play it. Multiplayer is the way to go with it, honestly. See, that would be a big deterring factor because I would have to have friends. Rurangi, a New Zealand show about a trans man who returns to his rural hometown post-transition. That sounds fascinating. What an interesting name for the show, too. I wonder if that's like Maori or whatever. Seen stuff from that and it looks really good. Curious. Very curious. I've had Dying Light on my backlog because a friend bought it for me, but it's broken on PC and I've only gotten it to work twice. Think I might give up on it. I've heard good things about the first Dying Light, and Dying Light 2 I heard some good things about, but not many. Very much a drama, but excellent as far as representation goes. Well, just the premise itself is pretty good on representation. The fact that it exists is a pretty good example of representation, so very cool. All right, let's get into some Jeopardy! Pretty sure it is Maori and the name of the town goes, yeah. Okay, all 3 categories are the same today. For those of you that never played Jeopardy with us, the points are made up, they don't matter, but they do exist, and we are taking track of a leaderboard, and you'll probably get a react roll if you're the winner, probably. And we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. You do not have to answer in the form of a question. Why do ads always start when I'm about to do Jeopardy? Well, I guess we're back for 90 seconds, so how's everybody doing? I'll explain in 90 seconds. Look at this. What's going on here, you think? What's this? What's this about? What do you think that's about? Because I don't like that. So I had a terrible idea. I had just the worst idea. And I'm interested to hear if you guys think it's also just a bad call. But I'm thinking about ways that we can make things more engaging, more entertaining, more memeable, but also engage with AI a little bit. And so, I thought it might be kind of fun to have ChatGPT write a musical version of our weekly schedule that I would then perform here on stream. And we could clip it and ship it. What do we think about that? How do we feel about that? What are the vibes? What are the vibes we're picking up from that? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts, because I think it could be fun. I think it could be a good time. We can't take it too seriously. Resident AI Loot, I hear that sounds hilarious. Okay. Seems like a weird thing. Like a good weird, or just like a weird little guy? Like cats are weird little guys, or like weird, it'll be cringe, and cringe is not bad. The question would be, how do we come up with a genre? A genre. I already have tried it, and I have the events encapsulated, and I've got it generating a sample for me, but we need to pick a genre. I just picked rap because that seems easy, but it also feels a bit appropriative. So I feel like if we RNG it, let it pick the genre. What genre are there? All music genre. That's gonna be so many. Oh, wow, that's so many. That's so many genres. There are so many genres. And then every genre has its own genre underneath it. By the way, I do say that way on purpose. That's not how I pronounce genre. That is how my French cinema professor pronounced genre. And we never actually believed his accent. And by we, I mean me and like my best friend at the time, Michael. We never totally bought his French accent. And I think that was one of the instances of like, he was trying too hard, and I didn't believe it. I don't think that even the Frenchiest of French say Jean, you know? It's like that Miss America girl that's like, Fran! like maybe they do. Do you know what I'm talking about? Fran! Okay. Category for Jeopardy. You do not have to answer in the form of a question, just answer the question as best as you know it. First answer that I see in the chat that is correct is the one that gets the points. For it is the best I've heard. It is so good. Jean. Okay. Category. State stuff for 200 points. The answer. In 1845, the U.S. Naval Academy was founded in this state. In 1845, the U.S. Naval Academy was founded in this state. It is not Virginia. Uh-oh, I clicked a button. Atlantis is correct. No, it's Maryland. Good job, Sneaky. Those 2 hundo. I would not have known that either. But in all fairness, I barely knew that Maryland was a state. Okay. Next one, keeping up with the same category, state stuff, this time for 600 points. The answer. This beehive state keeps busy with the USA's highest birth rate. This beehive state keeps busy. It is indeed Utah. It is indeed Wizen. Congratulations. A bit of an uncomfortable question there, but you know, we make do. We make do. All right. Last one. Last Jeopardy question for today before we figure out this song thing. Category. State stuff. This time for an even 1K. 1,000 points on the board. The Oswego Canal is part of its 500-mile canal system. The Oswego Canal is part of its 500-mile canal system. It is not Colorado. It is, in fact, New York. Congratulations, Sneaky. Oh, Bats, so close. So close. All right. That is our Jeopardy for today. Let's read our leaderboard and see who the top 3 placing are currently. In 3rd place, we have with 7K, Weisenlemer. In 2nd place, we have Zando Calrissian with 15K, 400 points. And in 1st place, by a mile at this point, Zando's got a lot of catching up to do. 20K, 900 to Sneaky Pigs. Wow. Chats in the clap. Chats in the clap. And we are slowly but surely catching up. I'm on the March 9th officially. March 9th on the calendar. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, let's see. Music genre list. Dude, it's so many. It's just so many. Can I make no subgenres? How can I get it to pick no subgenre? Yeah, see, this did it. I just need all of them. Okay, see, now I'm not gonna know merengue. I'm not gonna know any of these. I'm not gonna know any of these other genres, dude. And I feel like I can't do reggae. I feel like I can't do reggae. That feels problematic. There's a lot of these that just feel problematic, and that's probably the biggest concern. I'm not Wayne Brady, you know? Okay. Or at the very least, if I do reggae, I can't put on a strong accent. That is the reason that our Celebrity Reads Poetry is Celebrity Reads Poetry. I have no problem copying a celebrity's voice, but I do have a problem with appropriating an entire cultural voice. Now, I can't do metal. There's no way I can do metal. What is traditional music, you think? Okay, so I have pop music, hip hop, rock, rhythm and blues, soul, reggae, country, funk, folk, jazz, disco, electronic, blues, new age, and ska. Those are the genres that I came up with after cutting out the ones that I didn't even know the names of. So now I could say, using the following list of musical genre, randomly pick one and write a song about the schedule for next week from above. Let's see if it'll do it. Ska precedes reggae a good bit. They're all, you know, intermingled. Music is inspirational of itself. Let's see what it'll do. It's thinking. Of course it would pick reggae! I mean, what are the odds? What are the odds that it would pick reggae? The one that I was like, do I even include this? There's 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 genre, and it picks the first one. What's up, Slick Rick? There's good Christian reggae. I wouldn't know. I've never heard Christian reggae, but this is not even Christian. This is just schedule. This is just memes, dude. This is purely memes. Hey, Chuck, thank you for the sub. Long time no see, by the way. How you been, Chuck? Welcome in. Thank you for using that Prime sub, too. You can only use that in one place, and you chose to use it here. Thank you. Whew. We're gonna look. We're gonna try. Look. 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 We're gonna try sample reggae track. There's tons of them. Oh, there's just so many. Reggae does deal in Rastafarian values, which see itself as a kind of Christianity. We talking ska and reggae? Perry. Yeah. Yeah. Oh wait, drums only. Hang on, that might not work. I'm gonna need more than drums. I'm gonna need some kind of key. Let's see. Reggae instrumentals. We did say ska. See, it keeps pausing for some reason. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, but it's not perfect. Let's see if I can find something else. We're gonna research in a new window. Well, no, we'll remember this one. We'll remember this one as a possibility. Don't play Big D on stream. They are not family friendly. Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, I'm definitely looking only for vocal tracks. Oh, wait, here's just a beat reggae, old school. That's more rap than reggae already. Am I missing anything? It keeps pausing up at verse 3 for some reason. Yeah. Let's see if it'll finish it for me. For some reason, it's not finishing the song. Yeah, see, that just feels... Hang on, here's just... No, another drum loop. Is it just drums? So interesting that there's so many drum loops online. That ain't reggae. That's just piano. Well, it's not going to work if I can't find a backing track, that's for sure. Hang on. Let's just look up reggae instrumental. That is just not reggae, dude. Okay. The intro is not reggae. This beginning was not. Now it was. That does not sound reggae, but it does get into it. Perry knows. That's true, and I could be stereotyping. Once it gets into it. Positive vibrations. Positive Vibrations by Lion Rhythms. R-I-D-D-I-M-S, Rhythms. All right. Man, this thing wrote choruses and everything. All right, we don't need a chorus. We don't need choruses. We really just need the verses to get across the schedule. All right. Time to set aside all my pride and just do the thing. We did ChatGPT. We ChatGPT'd our schedule for next week in the form of a randomly selected, randomly generated song. I fed it 14 different genres. The one of which I was most concerned about was reggae. And of course, that's the one it chose. So we're going to give it a shot. Check GPT time. We're going to see if I'm able to, I mean, this is what is it? Sight reading. This is literal sight reading. I've never done this, and we don't know how it's going to be. But I do want to listen to it to make sure that it sounds okay. I want to make sure levels are all right if we're going to try and actually like clip this bad boy and put it out there. So let's do a quick little levels check, yeah? And we will be playing games, guys, I promise. So don't worry about that. Okay, so is this the right mic? Sounds good. It doesn't sound like it's coming through the microphone at all. Is it doing that thing again? Dude, it is! See if that's better. Oh my gosh! You guys have been listening to me in the can the whole time. All right, that's so much better. Let's see if that's... Yeah, I feel like that's a good level. That feels quiet enough. Okay. Now I'm going to get out of my own ear. Thought you sounded different, but I thought it was just me. No, I sounded so awful. Yeah, for some reason, VoiceMod keeps pulling from the wrong audio source. Every time I switch cameras, it pulls from that audio source of the camera. Okay. We're going to try this out. If I'm beat red because I'm embarrassed, it's because I'm embarrassed. Remember, this was written by a robot. This was written by an AI. I'm not a reggae performer. And we're trying our best. Try and get a feel for the beat. Hey, it's Nerd Pastor Nate. Come and gather round. Got the Checkpoint Church events. Let me break it down. No Twitch on Monday. I'm just reading this now. No need to fear. Tuesday's coming up. Good vibes are near. Tuesday we'll be jamming on the Twitch stream scene. Discord's where you vote. Let's make the choice serene. Choose the game we play. Let your voice be free. With Nerd Pastor Nate, it's a journey. You'll see. Wait. There's a bridge. I don't need a bridge. Wednesday we'll unite for a meal on Discord. Share the love and food with our Checkpoint Church horde. Laugh and talk and smile as we break the bread. In unity and harmony, our spirits will be fed. Thursday, Chia awaits, an island in the sun. Weezer. Wake with Nate will play. Have ourselves some fun. Explore the world together. Hand in hand we'll go with Nerd Pastor Nate and that reggae flow. Sunday sermons here, while a magi awaits. Madoka Magica, a nerdy wisdom radiates. Join us for the insights. We'll journey through the tale. Nerd Pastor Nate's your guide. We'll set sail. So that's the week ahead at Checkpoint Church, my friends. With love and unity, good times will never end. Join us on this journey. Let your spirit soar. Nerd Pastor Nate and Checkpoint Church forevermore. Hey, look, we did it. I am beat red, dude. Very embarrassing, but I kind of love it. I think that's fun. I definitely just spoke saying the whole thing. I couldn't pick up on a note, but you know, look, you now know what we're doing next week. You know all the things happening. Oh man. Yeah, we'll need to put up the schedule. So if I put up a schedule right here, we have it pick out a random song. Whew. Oh man, what a goofy fun time, huh? Oh yeah, I saw KJ5 too, for sure, in concert a couple times there. So, with that, we'll try and clip it and rip it and see if that works, but no telling. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does work, it does work. Definitely reggae was unfortunate. Reggae was unfortunate. I feel like I could have done just about anything else, but that's fine. Hard for me to pick up on the notes, as I said, but we'll make it work. The plan for today. Oh no, that clip just won't save. I don't know why. Oh no. We lost the whole VOD, you guys. Oh no. Plan for today. We're gonna real quick go beat delete after reading. I discovered something that really frustrated me. For those of you that don't know, we tried to play delete after reading and finish it on Tuesday, but then it just decided to delete all the save data. And that was something that happened through the actual game. They updated it on Steam and they lost everybody's save footage. Turns out that we actually didn't lose all the save footage. We did lose our particular file, but we did not lose the whole thing. We actually do still have the ability to start from the chapter that we got to. So, I'm gonna go turn back on the audio a little bit. Hopefully that's not too loud. Okay, music, play. Yeah, it looks too loud. We're gonna crank it down a little bit. Why is it doing that to the screen? It was like I'm breaking the game every time I touch the volume. All right, so you see, whenever this is what I saw whenever I logged in. I saw, oh, where's the game? Where's my continue button? All I had to do is click new game, and there we go. Now I can click on chapter 5. So we're gonna start back with chapter 5. If you haven't been playing this game, you should play this game. It's real fun, very cheap. The gist of the game is it's the game you can read or the book you can play, and we are stealing a copy of the Curse of Penguin Island because Skrillex bought it and won't share it with anybody, and so we decided we would take matters into our own hands and we would go steal it from Skrillex so that we could share it with the world. Once we got to Skrillex's mansion, we broke in, and then we went to his safe, and we got the game, but then his guards caught us at the last second and locked us in his in-home prison. And so now we're in Skrillex's prison, trying to figure out how to get out so that we can share the game with the world. And that's where we last left off in Delete After Reading. I spaced out for 10 seconds, and what? Exactly. Skrillex's henchmen have locked me up and left. With a little skill and patience, I managed to loosen the rope tied around my hands and free myself. I take off the hood and look around. Okay, it looks like I'm trapped in a very cramped room that could be a cell. In front of me is a door with an electric lock, and yes, my backpack is here, and they didn't take it. I scramble to open it and take out the ghost detector. There's a message from the gang.
There's a camera watching you. It turns on every 2 minutes. When you go through the door, you'll have 120 seconds to escape before anyone realizes you're gone. You're gonna have to pass through a series of rooms. You'll have to try your hardest not to get caught. Tama and I will tell you what to do in each room.
Did not know that his name was Tama.
To get out of this room, you're gonna have to use a detector to hack the door. Activate the scanner and hold it over the lock. It should capture an image of the door locking mechanism and its connections. You'll have less than a second to memorize them. Then, open the switchboard and connect the cables. If you get it right, the door will open. Remember, you have 120 seconds to get out of there. Hurry, and good luck.
That's not a lot of time. That's not a lot of time. There's a terminal box next to the door, just like the message says. You open it and see several colored wires. So far, so good, but how do I use them to open the door? There's a screen right below the box. That must be the lock the message is referring to. Scan. Oh. Following Cinco's instruction, I hold the ghost detector over the lock and press the scan button. Blue to red, red to green, blue to yellow, blue to white. Uh-oh. Blue to red. Red to green. Blue to white. Wasn't that right? Nice! Good memory. Good memory. The greatest. It was Tomat, right? Or Tomat? I've been calling him Tomate. So, whatever. That's how you read. I hold the ghost detector up to my ear and hear Cinco's voice. Great job. Starting now, you have exactly 2 minutes to get out of there without Skrillex's guards spotting you, the pixie says. But I don't have a watch, I replied nervously. How am I going to count 2 minutes exactly? Then I hear Tomate's voice, or Tomat's voice. 2 minutes, let me think. He pauses briefly. That's exactly how long the song Sitting on Top of the World is. Don't you know it, kid? Come on, he says. Sing it with me. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Tomat starts singing. Tomato. Come on, you can't waste a single second, Cinco reminds me. I'm about to leave the room and Cinco yelps. Watch out, he cries.
Of the world.
The corridor walls have invisible laser beam sensors. You have to dodge the beams without them touching you. You have to memorize the moves. Duck, stand up, jump, crawl, crawl, stand up. Tomat! It's very distracting. Great job. Wait! Great job, you made it back to the mansion. Cinco spurs me on to the other end of the ghost detector. The security system has been activated again, so you're gonna have to sneak through the library without the CCTV spotting you. There should be a blind spot where they can't see you. I look up, there are 3 cameras rotating all directions. If I have to cross the room, I have to wait for exactly the right moment when the 3 cameras are on me. Tomat! Great! You're becoming a true escape artist. Tomat congratulates me, but watch out, there's a security guard right up ahead. Go and take a look. You'll have to make your next move depending on what he does and be quick about it so he doesn't get you. If the guard goes to the left, you go to the right. If he moves to the right, you go to the left. If he moves forward, you go back. If he moves back, you go forward. Always do the opposite. Okay, ready. Forward. Left. Right. Right. Left. Forward. 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 Oh, man. I'm a little closer to the exit. Cinco gives me instructions through the ghost detector. There's still one more guard patrolling this area. Watch out, he's coming your way. You must crouch down immediately and wait exactly 5 seconds as he walks past. Not a second more or less, otherwise you'll get caught. I hold my breath and crouch. Exactly 5 seconds? 1, 2. Oh, wait, what? Oh, no. No! I failed! Oh, man. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go! The second-hand anxiety is wrecking you. I'm so sorry, Bats.
I'm sitting
All right.
on top of the world. I'm rolling along. Yes, rolling along.
The song makes it so bad. It makes it so bad.
The blues
All right.
of the world. I'm singing a song. Yes,
This is the hardest one.
Glory, hallelujah, I just phoned the posse.
Is it going faster?
Get ready to call.
Was it going faster than normal that time?
I'm going to
3,
fall.
4, 5.
On top
Oh, wait, I gotta hold it.
of the world. I'm rolling along.
The greatest. All right, I've ended up in a long corridor at the very end. There's a door. Oh no, it's closing. Quick, run. and I have to go across the garden. Remember our friend the poodle? Well, he was nothing compared to the two dogs out here. Tomate tells me this is the detector. You have to distract them. It won't be easy unless you throw something they like better than you. I look around. I can't see anything. Wait a minute. Didn't I have some candy bars earlier? Are they still in my backpack? Yes, perfect. Great idea, partner. Tomate says encouragingly, but watch out. Try not to hit the guard or he'll catch you. Aim well and throw fast. I gotta throw where?
Rolling along, and I'm quitting the blues of the world. I'm singing a song.
Wait, what? Do I have to throw it at the dog?
Singing a song.
One dog left. Oh!
Glory, hallelujah, I just phoned the parson. Hey, Pa, get ready to call. Just like Humpty Dumpty, I'm going to fall.
Come on!
Sitting on
Show me the dog!
of the world. I'm rolling along, rolling along.
What am I supposed to do if they won't show me the dog?
Millions.
Ah!
I'm getting my share.
Ah! Come on!
I only
Ay, ay, ay. All right. Here we go.
That's all I can
Here we go. Go.
get. A bundle of money.
I'm ready.
Make me feel good. On top of the world. A sweet little honey. I'm rolling along. It's making me sad. Yes, rolling along. And I'm sitting.
Did they not end the last track? Did they not end the last track? Is it still going? This is a mess. This is a mess.
Glory, hallelujah, I just phoned the parson. Hey, Pa, get ready to call.
Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Run. Bulldog. Ah, yes. Okay, one dog left. Doberman. Yes. Ah! It's now or never. I take advantage of the fact that two dogs are distracted by the candy bars to get out of Skrillex's mansion once and for all. I dash towards leafy bushes by the pool and ducks so the security guard doesn't spot me. My heart is racing. From here, I can see Cinco and Toman on the other side of the fence. Right at that moment, the guard turns and heads behind the house of the patrol. The coast is clear. It seems he hasn't noticed a single thing. Tomei gives me the signal to run. I adjust my backpack and start running as fast as I can. I don't know how fast I'm going, but I swear I must be breaking a world record. Maybe not a world record, but at least a national record, or perhaps a neighborhood record. I reach the fence and we sneaked over, through, and climp over it. Oh, free at last. Oh. I start the scooter so eagerly that sparks fly out over the concrete. Tomat and Cinco pedal at full speed. We race away from Skrillex's mansion as fast as we possibly can until we can't anymore. When we're finally safe, we stop and sit down on the sidewalk. The truth is, we're crushed. What a mess. It was a total failure. Aw, come on, at least we're still in one piece. Tomat is right, but that cheating scoundrel is still the only person in the world who can play the even newer Curse of Penguin Island. Hey, what are you all doing lying there on the pavement like dog poop? Wait a minute. I recognize that voice. Nina! What's up, dudes? I've recruited a new gang member. But how did you escape from the mansion? You left me with Skrillex and his guards. I thought you'd abandoned me, I accuse her. Easy, partner. It's been one heck of a night. But the most important thing is that we're all here, safe and sound, right? Yeah, but that imbecile Skrillex still has a video game, doesn't he? I retort, unable to hide my disappointment. Why don't you quit whining so much and take a look inside your backpack? Now that she mentions it, my backpack does feel a little heavier than before. How strange! I open my backpack. I can't believe my eyes! The video game is here! But when did you? I stammer, unable to put the question into words. Let's just say I improvised. Just before Skrillex caught us, I turned into the video game box. I already knew what it looked like, so it was a piece of cake. I made the switch without you noticing. When you gave Penguin Island a security guard, you were actually handing them me. Then I managed to sneak out and get back into Skrillex's office. Here's all the evidence we need to bring Skrillex down and prove the auction was rigged. That's amazing. You're the best, Nina. That cretin is going to end up behind bars. This time Destiny won't get away with it. Oh, yeah. And now, before we go play Penguin Island, there's one last thing we need to do. Wow. Who would have thought the worst day of my life would end like this? Together, we've put right an act of injustice so that everyone can enjoy this great video game. That they say that everything that does happen to us and will happen to us is written in Destiny's book, and no one can change it. But we did. Now, we just need to make sure Destiny never finds out what we've done. Want to do the honors? One last question pops up on the screen of the ghost detector. Delete after reading. We gotta do the game. Yeah! The world is saved! We did it! Woohoo! Make it a moment. Yeah! Create the moment! Thank you for being here. Yes! Oh my goodness. We always make it a moment whenever we beat a game on stream, so congratulations to those of you that are here. You now have the moment badge. That was fun! What a silly game. What an absolutely unbelievably silly game. I loved it. I enjoyed every moment of that one. I thought it was ridiculous in all the right ways. Totally get what they're going for as far as the game you can play or the book you can read. The book you can play or the game you can read. It really, I mean, it reminded me of so many things. There were so many games that it was reminiscent of. What a blast. Indeed. Indeed, a chats in the clap moment. It was very funny whenever it broke itself. That really did crack me up. That really did crack me up. Let's see if I can get it focused on me again, please. Focus, please. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. All right. So now we have like 22 minutes until we need to start TWIG. Hopefully Xando will be joining us today for TWIG. So we have 20 minutes. We can play Chia, or we can just hang out. I need to first off make this game a game we finished on stream. We're going to add that to our lists. Rolled credits in 2023. Nobody's played this game. We are going to be the very first review. Question about the Discord? Ask away, Wizen. What's up? Is it possibly true that no one has played this game? What did it take us? Another 20 minutes, maybe? Is there a channel for other hobbies besides gaming? There is a channel called Don't See What You're Looking For, and that would be the place where you could drop in any other suggestions if you have a hobby that you'd like to see more representation in. I'm going to say we played for a total of 2 hours. Well, I guess Steam would tell me, wouldn't it? Yeah, 2 hours. I mean, I thought that game was a gas. I'm going to give it a 4. I'm going to take it off our currently playing list. And there we go. Fair, I was thinking along the lines of WIPs, like writing, crafts, stuff like that. I crochet and was going to post a pic of my current project. So, Wizen, what I would recommend is we have a section in the Discord under Let's Get Creative, where there's a place for you to post pictures of your art. So that would be like a way that I could see you doing your like crochet or DIY. We have anything do it yourself. Then there's a section for community podcasts and streams. There's a section for game development, and there's a section for writing. So there's all sorts of them under there. But again, if you want like something else under Let's Get Creative, then let me know. I think crochet, craft, that kind of thing would go under art personally. But I could add in certainly other categories. Crafting. We could honestly make a WIP page, just in general, just works in progress. That way people don't feel like they have to put things that are always done, but they can put like samples, like this is where I'm at with things. I don't know. I'm down. I'm down for whatever. Okay, I know what we can do. I know how we can spend our time. let's organize our lists. Everybody loves organization. So this is Backloggd. For those of you that are not friends with me on Backloggd, you should be. !NPN. You can find my Backloggd on my link tree, and you can friend me on there, and you can start a Backloggd of your own. You could become obsessed with cataloging games like I am. We're going to rank our games for 2023. These are all the games that I have finished in 2023, and I'm going to rank these 3 I still haven't ranked. So Ib was good, but Ib was not the best game I've ever played. I would say it was better than Silvercase. Dragon Quest XI was excellent. I would say it was better than Vampire Survivors, probably not as good as Detroit. Delete After Reading was a fun little time, dude. It was a fun little time. But it probably was just about as good as Dusk Falls, really. Yeah, that feels good. So these are all the games that I've finished so far this year. Only 14 games this year. That's not a great start, but I guess, let me think. We are almost done with our 3rd month. Last year I beat 50 games. So what's 50 divided by 3? It's not far from that. It's what, like 16.67 or whatever repeating? No. Is that right? Somewhere around there. So somewhere around 16 or 17 is what I need by the end of the first quarter. No. By the end of the first third. So I still have a whole nother month to get there. I think I'll get there. I'm about to finish Paranormal anyway, so I'll have 15 games here shortly. Okay, let's look at another list. Oopsie. We got to rank our games beaten on Checkpoint Church's stream. So we've beaten Ib and Delete After Reading. Let's see, where would Ib fall in this timeline? I would say Ib is better than Endling. It's right around there. Delete After Reading, definitely better than Stray. Better than Hindsight. Better than Last Call. Yeah, I'm gonna put it right there. So these are all the games we've ever beaten on Checkpoint Church's streams. And that feels pretty good. Feels pretty fair. Let's see what else we got. Anything else need ranking? By the way, if at any point in time on our Tuesday, our Variety Tuesday votes, you want to know what games are considered our continue games, it's this list right here. So these are the games we need to continue. And at any point in time on a Tuesday, if you vote for that, I will RNG between these 6 and we'll play that during that stream. I mean, I can create a WIP channel right now. I don't know. I think art only is kind of a WIP. I could even add in the description. I could add in the description, like, works in progress, encouraged. Something that I actually want to do, a list that I haven't made yet, is every game I've played this year. For some reason, I didn't do that. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking by not making that. I might do that right now. Because we got 15 minutes. Games played in 2023. It can be public, I don't care. I just asked in the Art Only channel what people thought. We can see what folks say. Perfect. Okay, let's go to my activity. Nope. Journal? Yeah! Alright. So we need to add all these games. Oh man, there's so many games. Is it going to be easy? Nope. And why not? Why couldn't it just be easy? All right, let's open every single game that I've played. By the way, I did play Mighty Doom, and it was fun. I didn't really play Undertale. I watched it. I guess that counts. I watched it. And try not to miss any. I still haven't finished Season. I really would like to. I want to know what people love about it. really want to know what people love about it so much. I want to understand. I want to understand you. Man, it's crazy to think that I haven't played it. I haven't played Outer Wilds in that long. Isn't that wild? I think that's everything. So now we just go one at a time. All right, add to lists, games played. Should I go in reverse order? Probably. Now you guys can see all the games that I've played this year, one at a time. Wolf game was okay. Baba Is You was very silly. As Dusk Falls was fine. A little bit of a tried and old story at this point. Silver Case blew my mind. So weird. Titanfall was fun, but very AAA for me. Not something I normally get into. Vampire Survivors took over my life. What I played of Half-Life was fun. Forspoken was okay. Oh, I should be doing like the Knuckles meme. I don't know. Approved. Whatever that one is. Behold, a masterpiece. Behold, a masterpiece. Behold, a masterpiece. Behold, a masterpiece. I don't know. Behold, a masterpiece. Approved. Approved. How do I do it? Approved. Behold, a masterpiece. Don't know yet. Currently unapproved. Approved. Behold, a masterpiece. I think this is wild, dude. Look at that score. Granted, there are only 3 reviews right now, so it's a little bit like loaded. But Backloggd hates this game, and I think that is so wrong. I so vehemently disagree with them. Okay, so 33 games. Is that accurate? 34. What did I miss? What did I miss? I missed one game? What did I miss? I don't have time. I simply do not have time to go through all those again. Man, what did I miss, dude? I would love it if it would let me click that button. Because I'm one game short. That's going to bug me. I got to find out. I have to know. I can't just not know. I'm pretty sure I saw all these. I'm back. What are we doing? Welcome back, Zando. Just in time. I am currently going through my Backloggd because we finished Delete After Reading, and so I have a little bit of extra time. But once I get done figuring out what game is missing for some reason, let's hop right into it. Folks, we're going to get into Twig here any minute. Xander's going to be our special guest for today. First, I got to figure out what game. Persona! I didn't see Persona. Nice. Now I should have all 34 games. Aha! Nice. Dope. Okay, let's get into Twig. So Xando, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull you into a Discord room, and that should render your camera for our Twig chat. I also have a slideshow today. Isn't that fun? Hopefully you have access to the show notes. I'm going to pull up all the links real quick just so I have everything that I need. And then we'll get right into it. Okay, I have all the links up. I'll do, let's do Secret Room. All right, and you should be able to hear me. We should be able to hear you. I'm gonna turn down Spoofy. Check what audio I got you at. I'm gonna pull up OBS. No, it's pulling the wrong one. Why?
Oh, man.
Why? Do you plan on having your camera on? Do you currently? I can't see.
It is currently on, yes.
Okay.
Do I not have it? Oh, sorry.
No, you.
Does that help?
Whoa. Whoa. How did that happen? Yeah, that helps a ton.
Perfect.
Oh, it says no camera, though.
No camera. Do I have some setting where I need to adjust that?
Oh. There we go.
Hey, there he is.
All right, let's get you centered. Maybe.
I can also just adjust my camera so I'm...
That's up to you. Perfectly centered.
Perfect.
Love it.
Center.
All right, let's turn down Spoofy. Just have some nice, we'll do hi-fi. That feels not distracting. And let's have you talk for me just so that I can make sure that we're good levels.
Sure thing. I'm talking right now. Here, let me adjust my mic. Talking right now in a normal voice that I presume I will speak with for the rest of the Twig. You want me to keep going? Are we okay?
No, you're right at like -6. I think that's probably good.
Okay, sounds good.
That's right where I'm at as well. I'd rather not put a limiter on it just because you're running through desktop audio, and then that would be a headache to reset every single time.
Right.
All right. Well, let's get right into it. Folks, this is going to be a live news show, so we want your reactions. We want you to engage with us in the chat. But first, we got to do our intro. So, of course, I'm going to turn on H-Man's wonderful, wonderful presentation for us. Let me pull that up above the slideshow. Happy Thursday. Welcome in, Alindris. Let's get started with TWIG. All right, welcome into Twig. I am Nerd Pastor Nate, and we have a level 2 member joining us today, Zando Calrissian. You know him from the chat, and we're glad to have a level 2 member here with us. This is the Weekend Geek. This is where we dive into all of the weekly geekly news and things going on. This is an interactive show over on our Twitch channel, so if you aren't following twitch.tv/checkpointchurch, you should go follow us there. Every Thursday morning-ish, anywhere from 9 to noon, we go live with Twig and talk about all the nerdy headlines and things going on, as well as preparing you for some upcoming releases and celebrating some nerdy history. So this is a optional show where level 2 members can join us if they would like to, or I just do a solo by myself and we enjoy that as well. But today we do have a level 2 member joining us. And so I will let Zando start for us with the way that we usually start this show, and let us know in the chat as well. What did you watch or play or read in the past week? What have you been engaging with? What have been the materials that you've been imbibing over the past week, Zando?
So I have been trying to keep up with Ted Lasso. I've not watched the new episode yet, but I did watch the season 3 premiere. So I'm excited that that's back. I'm curious to see where that's
unwatchable. It's unwatchable.
Right.
I can't find it.
That's what you get for trying to watch the day that the new highly anticipated season came out. You should try again on like a Monday afternoon or something. Other than that, my wife went to the library last week and got me this Stan Lee Life in Comics book.
Ooh.
So I've read a couple chapters of that so far. It's kind of just like a biography of Stan Lee, which is always interesting, and fueling my weird fire for Marvel Snap that I can't ever seem to get away from. So for those of you who are playing Marvel Snap, I just finished Pool 3, so I've got all those cards, and now I'm to the point where I can get all the fancy, really good cards, and hopefully climb out of level 40, because that seems to be where I'm stuck for the past 2 months.
One of these days, maybe I'll get back into Marvel Snap, but I kind of hope not, because, man, it just consumed every minute of my day, and I just couldn't do it. I had too many other games to play. But that being said, I'm currently watching, I just started watching the Ancient Magus's Bride. We'll see how that goes, but it's been recommended to me ad nauseum over on our YouTube channel, so I was like, I need to finally give it a shot and see if it's an anime worth watching. Other than that, continuing on my Trigun Stampede binge, which I'm continuing to enjoy. I am reading Tomorrow Times 3, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and I'm loving it. It has taken a real turn away from video game development and like, hey, these guys like video games and I like video games and we get along, to a really like juicy drama of life and love and relationships and complexities, and so it's been really fun. I've enjoyed the read a lot. It was not what I expected whenever it was recommended, but I've enjoyed it nonetheless. It is kind of heartbreaking. It's very much a tragedy as far as everything seems to keep going, but it's a good tragedy. And then playing, I am currently playing 2 games back and forth. I'm playing Paranormasight during the day, which is Square Enix's latest horror visual novel. It's pretty fun. I like the way that it forces you to play with settings to control the game. So like, for instance, let's say it's all about curses. And so other people are trying to collect your soul. And so you have to outsmart their curses. And so there's one curse that's kind of a spoiler for the game if you plan on playing it. There's one curse in particular that if you hear their voice, if they hear the voice, then you will die and they'll get your souls. And so what you have to do is go into settings and turn off voices. And so whenever you turn off voices, their soul power no longer works. So it's meta in that way of like, you as the player are getting to control your character that you're controlling's fate based off of the settings. It's neat. It's fun. I'm enjoying it so far. It's a fun little twist on a visual novel. And I'm also playing Hi-Fi Rush during the nighttime because I'm too chicken to play Paranormasight at night, because it's very spooky and about curses. So those are my 2 that I'm going back and forth between. I will say, I think that's the perfect way to play Hi-Fi Rush. I cannot imagine binging that game. It requires so much focus that I can't imagine playing longer than an hour. Like, it is like, it's almost nauseating to play longer than an hour, because you're just like, all right, like, okay, here's another fight where we do this thing again and continue going on the same line of thought, and it's just too much. So again, let us know in the chat what you're reading, what you're watching, what you're playing. We'd love to know and engage with that. But in the essence of time, let's move on to some of our In Case You Missed It from the past week. What are some trending headlines and things going on this week? Our first one is Crunchyroll did in fact announce their spring 2023 anime lineup. Now, Zano, I know you're old school anime.
Yeah.
You don't really keep up with much of the current trend.
Not so much. Just from time. It's trying to find the time to sit down and pay attention to something when I've got so many other video games and stuff I would like to do with my free time. It's hard for me to watch.
Right.
And I'm not the type that I can like play a video game and have an anime on this. Like I have to pay attention in order to get every detail.
Yeah, I have to have that's why I watch dub, is really because I need to play games while also watching the shows. But there are some throwbacks happening right now. The Mobile Suit Gundam continues to reign strong. Apparently the new the Witch from Mercury is getting a season 2, and what I heard, Witch from Mercury did really, really good in its first season, and people continue to indulge in Mobile Suit Gundam and think that it's a great show. I definitely enjoy looking at the art, but I don't necessarily get into it too deep. Some other exciting things that are coming out. If you've never read the manga for Hell's Paradise, that is finally getting an anime adaptation by Mappa. Mappa always does an exceptional job. The premise of that show is that a bunch of cons, or cons, a bunch of convicts are sent to a island to try and find the elixir of life, because the government wants the elixir of life, but they're too scared to go because they'll almost certainly die. So it's kind of a Suicide Squad-esque story, but with samurai instead of with superheroes. So if you want to watch that one, it's pretty good. It was very gory, an extremely gory manga, so I'm curious to see if the anime goes into that same like almost rated mature level of storytelling. H-Man or B-Surfer recommended Mashley Magic and Muscles, made by A1, coming out this next season. We'll see. I love the romance manga Over the Moon for You, Tonikawa, and season 2 is dropping in April. Some other highlights I'm looking through just to see if there's anything worth noting. If you liked the Kuma 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 Bear anime, it's a silly little slice of life. They're getting a spinoff where Kuma 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 Bear is now going into an MMO. Let's see. There are several isekai.
I saw this one that's called "I Got a Cheat Skill in Another World and Became Unrivaled in the Real World Too."
Yeah,
that seems like a very long title.
Almost certainly an isekai because they all love those stinking titles. There's several of those coming out, as there always are. Another isekai is going to be called Kamikatsu, Working for God in a Godless World, in which you get reincarnated as some kind of servant, I'm sure, for a godlike character, and I'm sure they're going to be a child, just judging by the art. That feels like how it always goes. There's a new one that I don't know why, I'm just curious about the art, called My Clueless First Friend, coming out by Studio Signpost. We'll see. It looks just kind of like a cutesy classroom story. Might be a good one. Ranking of Kings, a highlight of last year that we did a nerdy sermon on because it was so good, is coming off with a mini-series, a little collection of stories, because people loved Boji so much they wanted more of his story, and so we're going to get more stories with Boji, and that should be a good time. But I will, we'll post all these show notes. That's something I'm going to start doing. We'll post all these show notes. So if you want to look through the Crunchyroll list of new anime coming out next season, then feel free to click on that link, and it's got the full calendar of all the things coming out. But those are just a couple highlights that I noticed in there.
Man, isekais really do like these long names, don't they? Summon to Another World for a Second Time.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yes, it is. It is a awful meme that just will not leave us alone. For some reason, isekai continue to do that perpetually.
In my time, if you had 3 words in your title, it was too long.
Too long. How I am with anime as well. I want to watch more of it, but it often gets beat out by other things. I would like to watch anime during the day, but I end up hanging out in streams or watching YouTube. YouTube is also my distraction that I typically find myself getting into. So I hear you there, Cam. Let's move on to the next story. Marvel is going through a bit of a weird slump right now. They announced that pretty much all of their scheduled Marvel shows on Disney Plus have not been, the word they used was like removed or scrapped or something, but I can't figure out exactly what they're doing. It sounds like what they did is they just removed the timeline. So I don't know if any shows have officially been truly ditched that were currently in the iteration, but they've all just been kind of like, we don't know when this is coming out, if this is coming out, including Loki, which was quite a big surprise to see that one removed because that was almost certainly done, I would have thought. I mean, it's got to be in post-production. And so maybe they scrapped it for it wasn't good enough and they're going through some reshoots, or maybe they're just not sure if TV shows are where they're going to want to go anymore. I thought the TV shows did okay.
Yeah, that would be a weird choice to scrap Loki, especially considering Ant-Man and Quantumania that just came out, and
Seriously.
literally the last spoilers, the last post-credit scene was a callback to Loki. Like you had
Right.
Mobius and you had Loki looking at another Kang variant.
Right.
So it really felt like, oh, this is a plug for the show coming.
Well, and it felt like too that was going to be a progression for the story. It's going to, if we're going to do all these iterations of Kang, then we're going to need to actually like have them introduced somehow. Somebody's got to find the first clone or the 1st variant. And so that would most certainly be how they were going to do it. And I don't know. Don't know if it's going to happen now. It's very weird. Very weird. I don't know what's going on with Disney Plus and the shows, and I'm sure that it has something to do with. I think somebody in the Discord mentioned that we just got Bob Iger back, right? He came out of retirement or whatever he was doing, and is now back over Disney, and so maybe that's the scenario. Is whoever was running it kind of went crazy with TV shows, or maybe they've got somebody that's coming in kind of like a fixer, but something weird is happening, and I don't know what the deal is going to be with Disney Plus and Marvel's relationship with them. But time will tell. Time will tell. I didn't hate the shows. I know that some folks definitely like Frost. Frostbite was one of the big detractors of not enjoying, from Love Thy Nerd, was one of the big detractors of not enjoying all the TV shows. And I definitely think they went a little head over heels with too many TV shows. But I didn't hate them. I thought some of them were better than others. But I really enjoyed that they were creating good content beyond the silver screen. I thought it was a nice touch. So time will tell.
Yeah, I would like to see them make more of the MCU into series. Like Ant-Man and Quantumania probably would have been a really interesting miniseries, more so than a full-length movie.
Yeah, I agree. Could have been broken up better.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next story. Google has released Bard, which everybody knows we literally just used ChatGPT during this show earlier. And GPT-4 was just released as kind of the latest update for premium users over on OpenAI. And Microsoft and Bing and introducing all that kind of stuff there. Google has been working on their own AI chatbot using a different model. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Well, I can't find it right now, but they're using a different model than GPT is using, but they're still working on it. And then they kind of shadow dropped it out of nowhere. I was surprised that they didn't really talk about the fact that it was happening. It just kind of happened. And then it was like, all right, Bard's out. I did get an email. I haven't responded to it yet. It looks like Chuck Bartowski is messing with Bard right now, and it's terrible. According to Chuck, I have no frame of reference. I wouldn't be too surprised. I mean, GPT just feels so amazing. And it kind of like told its own story. But I remember whenever they did the like preview of Bard a couple weeks ago, it wasn't incredibly impressive. So I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing with Bard and if it ends up taking off. I personally am a big Google stan. I like Google and I like their software, and I even like their UI, even though that's somewhat controversial. But I don't know. If they did it as well as GPT, I would probably choose Google over Microsoft any day. But if they don't do it as well, then AI continues to win. OpenAI continues to win my loyalty. And I do use it a lot. But I think, the term Google is like synonymous, right? I mean, you use the term Google all the time. And so I think that unless you're on Moviga and talk about binging things constantly, Google is definitely like the household name, national acclaim. So it would make more sense for it to take the cake, but it may not. In related news to ChatGPT, somebody used the new ChatGPT 4 to create a version of Pong. Pietro Scarano over on Twitter created a working version of the code for Pong via ChatGPT. And I actually have the exact message. Let's see what he said to ChatGPT, because I thought it was interesting, the words and the way that he described it. If you haven't been keeping up with how ChatGPT is most effectively used, people are giving it identities. And so he actually told, I guess they, I'll say they until I know, said, "You are Developer GPT, the most advanced AI developer tool on the planet. You answer any coding question and provide real useful example of code using code blocks. Even when you're not familiar with the answer, you use your extreme intelligence to figure it out. If all is good, say yes, Pietro." And They said, yes, Pietro, and then said, I want to build a Pong-like game. What's the best language to do so? Also, I want to use Replit to build it, which I assume is some kind of coding software. And then ChatGPT, sure enough, recommended a form, recommended using Java, and provided the JavaScript for the code based off of it. And then Pietro was able to input that and to create a working version of Pong. So pretty incredible stuff. Pretty incredible stuff as far as what it's capable of doing.
So it's weird, like, who gets the credit for creating that Pong then? Like, if he were to take it and try to tell it, is that his creation because he told the AI to do it? Or is it the AI because it actually did the work?
Yeah. It continues to be a big question over copyright. And I know currently the stance of copyright seems to be that the robot doesn't own anything. It is exclusively the person that comes up with the idea to ask the question. So it's gonna get really tricky trying to prove all this stuff and to work backwards and kind of be like, well, I told it was developer GPT and that was my idea to tell it was developer GPT, that then it created the thing that it created. It's a headache. I'm not envious of anybody going into tech law. People that are going into communications law and that kind of thing. I think that we've got a bizarre future ahead of us as far as copyright is concerned. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't incredibly curious. As somebody that loves video game development and doesn't have the time to iterate, I kind of want to use it. Like, I love the concept of RPG Maker because it makes it easier. And so if I could take ChatGPT and make it easier, I'm probably going to do that. I don't know how to use it yet, but I'm intrigued by the very possibility of doing that. And as a pastor of a digital church for nerds, my mind also thought like, I wonder if I could create a Czech purple themed Pong game for us to play in Discord. Like, why not, right? Like, I could put Czechy as the circle. I could ask them to use this image of this PNG of Czechy and make that the ball that goes back and forth. Why not? That's something I can do because we have GPT-4. So there's no telling where it's going to go from here. But I'm incredibly curious. Cam says, from a legal standpoint, only a person can own copyright from my internet legal degree. Yeah, exactly. And that seems to be the recurring case of people giving any kind of like landmark cases. I think we're going to see a series of landmark cases for the next little while as this continues to iterate. But you know what's really crazy is I was thinking the other day, when did GPT like happen? Wasn't it like November? And it's March? It's been like 5 months. That is not a long time for it to be as gigantic of an enterprise as it already is and to have iterated into a 4th version. I know they started at 3, but still, like that's pretty insane for 5 months to go by and it to already have iterated into a drastically improved version. So I'm very curious. Let us know in the comments or in the chat what you think about that, or if you have any thoughts about GPT-4. I know we had earlier, Bats was our self-proclaimed Luddite whenever it came to all things AI. But I'm intrigued by it. I definitely don't use it as often as some, but I think it's a curious thing to go forward. Okay, on to our next news story. The Completionist bought every game that has ever been released on the Wii U and the 3DS. And that includes DLC and it includes DSi. He spent $22,000. If you haven't watched the video, it's a great video. I happen to be a big fan of The Completionist. I followed him for many, many years, back since the Greg days, for those of you that know Completionist. But big deal. This video is a big deal and a huge headache. I think the most interesting part about it that doesn't really have to do with what we're actually talking about is the roadblocks that Nintendo puts in place. We've always known that Nintendo is like pretty litigious and is pretty passionate about like putting up boundaries for parental controls and all that kind of stuff. They want to really lead the way for a game company for kids. Like, they're very intentional about that. But I learned like so many things about the limitations of that technology. Like, you can only put so many $250 at a time, I think, on a Nintendo account. And you can only do so many blocks on a Nintendo account and on a card at a time, even if they're in folders. Like on a 3DS, you can only have 300 games downloaded. So you can only do 300 games, and then you have to do a whole other SD card to get those accessed. So it was baffling watching this video, and I highly recommend everyone do that. Noble, I think it's a noble thing that Gerard did. because the intention of this was video game preservation, and he actually worked with Video Game Preservation Society, which also has an excellent podcast, and or Video Game History Foundation. And whenever he passes, he has already kind of like vowed to donate the Wii U and the 3DS and all of the thousands of games to the Video Game Preservation Society of the History Foundation. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah. I keep meaning to go on and look to see if there's something I need to get before that shuts down next week.
Yeah. I bought one version of all the Pokemons from the Virtual Console. So I didn't buy all of them ever, but I bought Blue, Yellow, and Crystal. I think that's right. I think I bought those 3. So, and then I of course did Bank. But I did find out that you can't do Transporter without having a paid for bank account. And so I'm very curious about if Pokemon Bank is going to still have Transporter after the thing closes and it becomes free. So Bank is going to become free once the thing closes, but if I sign up for the free account, am I going to be able to get Transporter, or am I just going to be able to do all the bank things on my 3D or on my 2DS, but I'm not going to ever be able to transport them to home? I'm a little concerned, but I guess we'll see. Hopefully they keep Transporter up. But yeah, I'm always curious. It was interesting to see all the different games that come out on those consoles. There were a lot of like shovelware that came out on the 3DS and on the Wii U, but the actual number, let's see, 866 Wii U and 1,547 3DS games were purchased in total.
Wouldn't it be funny if, like, in 2 days they're like, "Hey, we're closing the service down in 3 days, and here's a fire sale. Everything's dirt cheap." And he's like, "Dude, I just spent $22,000."
Yeah. That was something that they actually acknowledged, was like, it took so long to do the process. It took 328 days, and so since it took so much time, they ran into a bunch of sales. And so they were able to get games like significantly discounted just because of the fact that it was spread out over so much time. Whereas if they would have purchased them all on the same day, Nintendo had let them, then they probably would have managed to do a whole lot more at one given time.
Right.
But that was a good video. Highly recommend watching it and checking it out. All right, this is our last news story from the past week, and is one that we wanted to make sure we honor: the life of Lance Reddick. Lance Reddick unexpectedly died this past week at age 60. A huge nerd icon, I would say. Lance was in so much. I'm just going to pull up the IMDb for Lance here, because I think there is just a huge amount. I'm trying to remember what I first saw Lance Reddick in. It might have been... I didn't watch The Wire until later. I think it was Lost. I feel like I remember seeing him in Lost or Fringe for the first time. But it was one of those shows, and he's just been a huge nerd icon. He's been in so many nerdy things, and especially a lot of nerdy video games. Was in games like Quantum Break, and better known for Destiny 2, and all sorts of those kind of things. Horizon. What did you have any kind of memory of Lance Reddick, Xando?
Mostly just from John Wick. Like that's where I recognized him from. I actually got him mixed up when I first heard that he'd passed away, and so I was like, "Oh, this guy was an incredible voice actor." My mind went to, and I can't remember the guy's name, of course, right now, but he voices the president on Rick and Morty. He was the villain in what do you call Princess and the Frog? Just kind of that deep, kind of like menacing kind of voice that he had is what I jumped to right away.
Keith
but
David?
Yes, that's it. But yeah, I think John Wick would probably be where I was like, oh man, yeah, that is him. And then it clicked, like, oh, yep, I played Destiny for a little while, so I don't remember all the characters' names, but like the one like leader character that he played in Destiny, Commander Zavala.
Yeah, had a ton of roles.
Yes.
Apparently played Wesker in the TV series cartoon version of Resident Evil last year. Played in Legend of Vox Machina, which is of course the Critical Role adaptation. Horizon. Just tons of stuff. Just in all these different productions. Just like I said, an incredible nerd icon. I did not realize that he was in Castlevania. I'll have to go back and look who the captain was. It says that he voiced the captain in Castlevania.
Right. For 10 episodes, apparently.
Yeah. But a pretty huge and prolific actor, especially for having passed so young, to have done so many huge huge products and projects. And so a huge loss. We are thankful for the role that he served in so many nerdy productions and bringing so much life to characters that we love and cherish. And then, of course, best wishes and condolences for his wife, Stephanie, and 2 kids, Yvonne and Christopher. Pretty heartbreaking. Anytime we see like a milestone actor pass, it's just always hard to see.
I saw that at the premiere for John Wick 4. The cast and crew all wore blue ribbons because that was his favorite color to honor him.
I love that. Yeah. So sad, but so good to honor him. So let's have some chats in the clap for Lance Reddick. Chats in the clap for a job well done, and we will sincerely miss his role and his products and projects and characters that he brings to life.
For sure.
Okay. With that, let's move to the Discords. This is news that has been submitted via members of our Discord. So at any point, if you want to submit news, you can join our Discord at any time in our Twitch chat by hitting !Discord. Or if you want to submit news regardless, then you can also go to bit.ly/DearTwig. bit.ly/DearTwig, DearTwig. I put it on the screen this time. Now you guys can also see that it's DEAR. Do not put in DEER twig, because that's not been set up. I probably should. I never have, but maybe one of these days I'll put up Dear Twig. The first piece of Twig news that was submitted just this morning by Stained Glass was about Henry Cavill and the Black Adam cameo. So I guess spoilers if you haven't seen Black Adam, but Superman does show up, I believe, in the post-credit scene. And fans are saying that this is a suable offense, that this is a false advertising a claim of a similar level as the one that just happened, that just wrapped up. I can't remember what it was.
They mentioned it in the article. I don't remember what it was either because it was equally as ridiculous.
Ana de Armas in the 007 movie. So if you recall, whenever the latest 007 movie came out, Ana de Armas was in the trailers a lot, and then her character in the movie was like 10 minutes, and people were very upset because they said that we expected Ana de Armas to be a Bond girl, a main character in this one, but it turned out that she was not that, and they got very upset, and they sued, and they won for false advertising over the actual trailer cutter. So it wasn't for the movie, it was the cutter of the trailer that got sued. And so people are not suing yet, so that's a bit of a confusing title here, but it's just that people want to sue over this. So we'll see if it like goes anywhere litigious, but I don't foresee it. I mean, could it be seen as false advertising? If Ana de Armas can, then maybe, but I just don't see. I don't know who they would sue is the big question.
I mean, wasn't the scene just like him showing up, and it didn't actually say like Superman and him and Black Adam are going to fight next time, you guys. It was just like, oh, here's Henry Cavill as Superman.
Right.
That doesn't really seem like false ad. I mean, yeah, you can get your hopes up for what could be, but they're not saying anything happened.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing is like Henry Cavill saying, hey, I'm back. And then like, oh, wait, no, I'm not. But then that's also on Henry Cavill and not Warner Brothers. Right. So
yeah, that's another thing is there's like, who do you sue? If you sue Warner Brothers, there's probably no grounds because they didn't say Superman will return. If you sue James Gunn because he tweeted one tweet that said that he would work on Superman Legacy, that was his original contract before he got promoted to executive, and then cut that movie, then you could use that tweet and say, you said you were going to work on this movie, and then Black Adam showed this character, and now you're not doing it anymore. But people cut movies all the time, so that just doesn't feel right. Or Henry Cavill, that said he might play the character again, but I mean, he did. He played it in the trailer. That was it. And so it's very curious. I think this is a non-starter. I hope that people don't take it to the point of litigation, but you never know. Nerds will be nerds, and sometimes nerds will be a little problematic.
Yep.
But ideally, this won't go anywhere, and it's still an interesting thing for us to at least consider. Just continuing cycle of the DCU and the DCEU becoming more and more of a cluttered mess. Hopefully James Gunn is able to rescue it from the brink. Okay.
Yeah, I think the other weird thing is like with the Ana de Armas thing, like people maybe paid to go see her in the movie and then she wasn't really in it. In this one, you paid to go see a Black Adam movie and you didn't pay for anything else. So I don't think it doesn't seem like it has any weight to me. But sorry.
I don't think it'll work. We'll see if anybody actually pursues it, but hopefully they go to legal counsel and the legal counsel says, nope, this is silly, don't do this, and then they'll stop. So time will tell. All right, our next piece of submitted news was by Sneaky Pig, who dropped this over on the TCG's channel on our Discord and kind of like pinged our two resident Magic experts in Cam and Hunter H-Man and asked if this was a big deal. Why did this card sell for so much? The Black Lotus card has supposedly sold for a record of 540,000. Which is pretty insane. It sold back in 2019 for 166,000, and then it sold 2 years later in 2021 for $511,100, and then had an increase of $29,000 for this one. So I know nothing about Magic, and I really don't know much about this card in particular, but apparently this is the most like sought after card of all time. This is something that's just so incredibly rare. My Pokemon loving brain puts it to like the classic holographic Charizard that I know Logan Paul at least purchased for $400K several years ago. So I don't know. I don't know much about it. Originally printed in 1993, the Black Lotus is considered one of the Power 9, a limited set of MTG cards that are banned from competitive play due to their powerful abilities.
Yep, so I don't know enough about Magic to know.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to see if Hugh Marwit is in the chat and we'll weigh in any further on this one. But as far as I know, doesn't feel like. I mean, it's somehow cards keep finding an audience of people that'll purchase them. That's the big crux of the issue, or not issue, but that's the crux of the news. Is like not only that these cards exist, but that there's some people out there that are wealthy enough to purchase them and care about them. So I think that's where the hitch happens for me. Is like there are people that are YouTubers that are wealthy enough, like Logan Paul, to drop $400,000 on a box of Pokemon cards. Like the fact that exists, that YouTubers that are millennials and even Gen Z who care about these things are now making enough money that they're able to do these kind of auctions. That's more than news for me. Cam says it's a combination of the most powerful card that is the mascot of the early MTG in a very limited supply. Yeah. So it's just kind of the magic mixture of this card that is this phenomenon and then also this phenomenon of wealth that's happening through the internet. Made the Charizard comparison as well, but it is like if OG Charizard was still one of the best cards, right? And not just a card that could be used. Yeah. Fascinating stuff. So that has been our To the Discord and our segment there. Now we got to go to our next segment, which I got to turn on. Oh, well, don't forget. bit.ly/DearTwig if you want to submit your news there to let us know about that. And now we're going to go to our next segment.
In the show, at this point in nerd history.
And I'm guessing that didn't change at all for you, Xando. Did it change?
No, it did not. It just sounded like you were really excited.
So now you know what a fool I sound like. All right, thanks for your alert, Cam. Let's see. Let's break this up into two, so it could go either way. Would you rather claim games or movies, Xando?
I'll claim games. Why not?
All right, you start us off with the games that came out in history.
Sure thing. In 2020, we had Half-Life Alyx, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the virtual reality game that came out with the Valve Index. We also had Detective Pikachu for the 3DS, which was no doubt the movie tie-in. The Game Boy Advance SP launched in America, and I got mine day one, and maybe a week or so later, it was in my pocket, and I tripped and fell and broke the screen. And that was awful. Luckily, my copy of Pokemon Sapphire was still in good shape, but a sad loss nonetheless. In 1993, Kirby's Adventure, in New Japan? Was that what that?
NES. I definitely hit WZS.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, NES in Japan. So one of the greatest Kirby games, in my opinion, just behind Kirby Superstar, was released for the NES in 1993.
And you would know this more than me. Was that the first Kirby game, or was the first Kirby game on? No.
It was the first Kirby game on a home console. So you had Kirby's Dream Land, I believe, in 1992, which was released for the Game Boy, and then we finally got it on the NES, and that's when Kirby finally got his paint color. In his copy ability, because he didn't have that in the first game, but in the NES version, he was able to copy enemies' abilities.
Fascinating. I actually never had a Game Boy SP. That was the one that I skipped over. I went straight from my purple Game Boy Advance with a little spiral spinny light for playing at night, of course, and then I went straight from that one into the DS. So I missed the SP entirely, and I was so jealous of my friends that did have the SP. And
I bought my original Glacier White Game Boy Advance the day it came out, and the very next day someone stole it from me. And so I didn't have one for a very long time.
Luck. You have bad luck.
I did. The Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance and me had a rough history. So three of my friends decided, hey, we've got our Game Boy Advance, we're going to go all hang out and like have a sleepover at our friend's house and all play our Game Boys. And 3 out of the 4 of us had one. And the next day, I was one of the 3 out of the 4 who didn't have one. So we pretty much knew who took it, but we never had a way of proving that it was him because he never showed up with it playing it. Like we went to his house, like my brother was like, "Oh, this is larceny," and anyway, yeah, so I lost it and never had a Game Boy Advance for a long time. And when the SP came out, I finally was like, yes, I'm going to get one. And then I broke it.
Oh, man.
And then I saved up my pennies and got an imported black SP, and I held on to that one for a very long time.
I love that it happened like twice in a row.
Oh, yeah.
It's not too many times, but it's just weird that it happened twice, right?
That's real unfortunate.
Classic quote. Very cool. All right, movies that came out at this point in history. So on March 23rd of 2018, Pacific Rim Uprising came out, which was the Pacific Rim sequel. I've never seen either one of them. I assume they're pretty good, pretty fun action popcorn flicks. I don't know how the second one actually did. And then on the same day, Wes
I never saw the second one. Sorry.
Never saw the second one. Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs also came out on that same day in 2018. Those two dropped alongside each other, which are two pretty different movies. In 2012, the original Hunger Games came out. And then 2 random ones that I pulled that aren't inherently nerdy, I guess, but I just thought it was interesting to realize where we've come and what, history we've had. In 1990, Pretty Woman came out. And in 1984, the comedy classic Police Academy came out, which is just an all-around fun time, very quotable movie. If you've never seen Police Academy, you absolutely should. And that has been our past shows here. Any of those movies stand out for you, Sando?
Not necessarily. Isle of Dogs, I saw, hoping it would be another Fantastic Mr. Fox, and it wasn't. And then Hunger Games, my wife and I just recently rewatched through those, and those are a set of movies that kind of start okay and then get real good and then just taper off miserably.
That's totally fair. Totally fair. All right, well, that has been...
At this point in nerd history!
All right, there we go. And with that, we're going to move into some upcoming releases, some things that are happening over the course of the next week. So starting today and going to next Wednesday, what is dropping. And we can just kind of do however you want to do with these as well, Zando. Do you want to claim a couple or do you want to go like back and forth? How should we do that?
Let's go back and forth. That'll be fun.
All right. So movies, we'll start with that. And dropping tomorrow is John Wick Chapter 4, speaking of Lance Reddick. And that production, and I hear that it's real good, like one of the best action movies ever made. So we'll see if it lives up to the hype because they sure are hyping it a lot. But I look forward to seeing that.
As do I. And then we have Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham on the 28th. I'm assuming this is an animated.
It is.
I'm not following that so much, but
yeah, I'm kind of out on that as well. I don't even know if it's coming. I'm assuming HBO Max day one. I'd be surprised if it goes anywhere else, but. We'll see. I like the Batman animated movies. I feel like they're in general just kind of continually producing them like every year or so, maybe every 2 years, and they're typically pretty good. We'll see. The Big Door Prize is coming out on Apple TV, so now we're into TV shows just for this one entry. Dropping on the 29th, that is the latest. I always forget his name, the Irish actor who I love so much. Chris O'Dowd, I think, or Chris Dowd, one of the two. He is basically a giant gachapon machine comes to this random restaurant or something in this small town, and it tells you your like potential or where you're going to end up in life. And of course, he either gets one that's probably going to be blank, or maybe there'll be one that he doesn't like, and he has to change his fate. And then it TV shows on from there. Haven't heard anything about that one, unlike last week with the Meryl Streep movie, where it was like this TV show is absolutely awful. I haven't heard anything about if this one's good or not. But I watched the trailer and it looked okay.
Sometimes that's the best you can hope for. Mm-hmm. We've got Dead by Daylight coming out for comic books tomorrow, which is based on the video game of the same title.
Yeah, a prequel series for Dead by Daylight. And I actually think that's been delayed. So I don't know if that's actually coming out tomorrow. I put that on there because they still had it on IGN. But I feel like I recall seeing an article very recently that it was delayed.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming out May 24th. So we just switched it's still an M month. So you're all good there. Just pretend that we said this 2 months from now.
Got it. All right. And then some games that are coming out. If you played the iconic indie game Raccoon, which we'll actually be playing on a Thursday stream because I never have played that one. Raccoon is a video game that's set in a pretty interesting universe. And that creator has released a sequel-esque spinoff called Mr. Saito, which is dropping today.
I'm going to let you take the next one so I can take the one after that.
Okay. Storyteller is another indie game that I'm very excited about that I haven't decided if I'll play or not, just because there is some cartoon nudity in it. But it is a video game called Storyteller where you get to control the story. So it's going to give you the option of basically dragging and dropping the characters to make the things true. I wish I had the visual because I could explain it. But basically the first story is like a panel on the left that says boy meets girl, right? And it's got the man and the woman. And then the second panel says, but then one of them dies. And you get to choose, does the man die? Does the woman die? So you drag one of them over, weeping over the grave. And then the story progresses from there. Okay, now he's alone or she's alone. What happens next? And so it's basically this one whole series of indie clickable stories, and you get to be the titular storyteller. Also dropping today. Super curious about it.
And let's be honest, the only one that anybody really cares about is Resident Evil 4 remake comes out tomorrow. Is that too rude? Am I just
Don't dog on my indie games.
Yes, the long-awaited Resident Evil 4 remake finally comes out tomorrow. I've got my copy pre-ordered. I've finally played the demo. I'm real excited about this one. Resident Evil 4 is a great game. It's for me, it's divisive in the sense of, it is one of the greatest action games that set the bar for action games back in 2005, I believe, when it originally came out. But it also lit the series. Like Resident Evil went from being a survival horror to an action horror title. So if you have not played Resident Evil 4 before, definitely do it. It's a great game. And then check out the remake that comes out tomorrow. I'll be real excited. I might even come out of my streaming hiatus to play this one.
Oh, there we go. We need to do a shout out then for Xando Calrissian. You need to go watch Xando play RE4 because it'd be far more likely that he would play it before I play it. And I did play the first 3 hours of RE8 on stream, Village, but I never continued beyond that point. I just played it on my own time because it's not really my kind of game, but I do enjoy the story a whole lot. And RE4, I feel like, I guess RE6 probably kicked off, or RE7 really kicked off the kind of storytelling they're telling now, but
yeah, sure Resident Evil 7 brought it back. Resident Evil 4, like I said, just made it into a survival or an action horror series. Resident Evil 5 was more kind of action. Resident Evil 6 we don't talk about. And then Resident Evil 7 went back to survival, like really horror, like actually terrifying sometimes.
7's probably my favorite at this point.
Yeah, and 8 did like, hey, you guys like Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 7? Good job, we put them together. And so 8 was less creepy, but more action-oriented and had like the shop where you could upgrade your guns and everything. So 8 is kind of a perfect blend between the two. So
I did see controversially, and we'll get back to our upcoming releases eventually, but I did see controversially they still like let you kill the dog or something, was something that they were very surprised about with RE4. There's apparently this very iconic moment with a dog. And it's back, and people are upset.
The very beginning of the game that you find a dog trapped in a bear trap, and that kind of shows you like, oh hey, there's traps ahead, and you were able to shoot the dog, and apparently they decided to leave that in.
Yeah, for whatever reason. So that's controversy behind it, but I think it'll be a pretty good time. So I think we don't have any mods, so I'm gonna give you a quick shout out. Xando doesn't stream super often, but whenever Xando is able to stream, they're always great.
Thank you.
Next up is The Crown of Wu. Don't know much about that except for the fact that you're playing, I guess, as a Wukong-esque character. I think it's a platformer action game. No clue.
Fractured Sanity VR comes out on the 27th. I'm
Looks
assuming
like
it's
a Soma, but VR. Very similar, that kind of spooky vibe. Call of Dragons. No idea what that is, but it's a phone game dropping on the 28th. The next one I'm very excited about.
I assume it's a World War II shooter where you are dragons.
Mm-hmm. Obviously.
Crime Boss Rockay City comes out on the 28th. I know nothing about that.
Do you remember that from the announcement? Do you know what the game that is?
No.
Oh man, I had no idea this game was coming out so soon. I'm so excited for Crime Boss Rockay City. It is star-studded. Chuck Norris is in this game.
Ooh.
For whatever reason.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's very clearly gonna be a pretty bad Vice City ripoff made for like a modern day audience. It looks rough, but man, that cast. It's got like an exceptional cast of characters that are just people you would never expect. Do you have it pulled up? Who's a full cast?
So we've got oh man. I'm gonna save him for last. So you got Michael Madsen, looks like he's gonna be the main star of the game. Chuck Norris, as you said, Danny Glover. So the picture I'm looking at is real pixelated, so it's hard for me to tell exactly what all these guys are. But the one, let's see. Michael Rooker. Okay, so Yandu will be in there. Kim Basinger, Damian Poitier, Vanilla Ice. That's interesting. And the one that I'm most excited about, Danny Trejo is in it. And if Danny Trejo's in it, it's gonna be good.
I mean, it's a baffling cast. It makes no sense how this like no name, like totally random company out of nowhere, In-Game Studios. I don't even know who that is. In-Game Studios comes and delivers this game that is absolutely star-studded. It is their only video game.
I mean,
who is In-Game Studios? I have no idea.
Star-studded is a bit of a stretch.
That is star-studded. That is, well, maybe it's B-list, but it's still like no video game is coming out nowadays with this many movie actors, I guess.
It's star-studded if it came out in 1993, but 2023, yeah, we got Michael Rooker.
Yeah, Rooker's still in the talk, but it's so funny. It's so funny. I'm so excited to see. I've heard nothing about it since its announcement, and that terrifies me, but I want it to be memed on so bad. Like, I want it to be like as memeable as Yakuza, but I don't think it's going to be there. We'll see.
When I worked at the video store, I used to have a thing where I would cut out any picture of Danny Trejo that came in. So if we had like promotional posters or whatever, and so I made a collage and it was up on the wall, and I put threat level Trejo. So every month I would look at how many movies were coming out with him in it, and that was the threat level.
I love that. That's great. Yeah. That's so good. And he's one of those that just kind of shows up. He's just in every movie. Okay, next up, Drop System Breach is a hacking game coming out on the 28th.
And Enchanted, which I assume is some sort of magical hotel simulator.
Yep, it looks like a farming sim-esque thing where you not only raise the farms, but you also make the food and serve people at your inn.
That was a total guess based on the name. I hadn't Googled it, but yeah, that's great that's what it is.
You nailed it. MLB The Show, the latest iteration for 2023, is coming out on the 28th as well.
Mm-hmm. Simon the Sorcerer on the 28th. No idea.
Terra Nil, which I'm super curious about. Terra Nil. It's a reverse factory engineering thing. So instead of creating factories to produce, you are reversing it and taking factories down and recreating the rainforest-esque thing. So played the demo. It's a blast. Terra Nil's so good, says Perry. Seems pretty interesting. Drop it on the 28th.
Simon the Sorcerer, is that a remake?
It is a prequel. I think it's a prequel.
Okay. Yeah, because there was a 1993 point-and-click adventure with the same title. So sorry to.
They've apparently had a full series of it, and this is the latest iteration.
Speaking of getting off the track, Forza Horizon 5 Rally Adventure comes out on the 29th.
And
if you like racing games, if you like racing games, this definitely is a video.
Forza. Going to be more Forza, and Forza is always gorgeous and fun to look at and fun to play. So it should be a good time. And then Gripper, which is a video game based around a grappling hook. We'll see. I have a feeling it'll be a fun old time. I'm more excited about the one that's like Gunbrella or whatever that's coming out later this year, where you get to use an umbrella that's a gun for the whole game. That I'm more excited about than Gripper. But a grappling hook, if you like grappling hooks in games, might be for you. Coming out on the 29th. And that's all the games. Those are all the upcoming releases coming out in the next week. If you plan on playing any of those, let us know down in the comments or in the chat that are on your general periphery. I'm going to play Raccoon first, but I'm very excited about Mr. Saito and Storyteller. So those were the two. And then I'm going to watch everybody on Twitch play Rocket City for sure. I really hope people play it. I want people to play it because I just want to see it. I don't want to play it myself. I have no interest, but I want to watch it.
If it's cheap enough, I'll grab it. Just for Danny Trejo.
There we go. Watch it be a full 60. It's a $70 PS5 game. With that cast, dude, they're gonna need $70 per game. All right. Next up, we have the meme of the week. This is our meme of the week. This is our final segment of the show. Inputted by Sneaky Pig. This is the one that got the most reactions over on Discord. The original poster said, "I rebuke that spirit of division right now in the mighty name of Jesus." And then somebody in the comments said, "Amen. I also hate math in the spirit of division." Yep. A good one. So if you would like your meme of the week to be considered next week, then all you got to do is post over in our hashtag memes and goofs section in our Discord, exclamation point Discord in the chat, as always. And we would love to see you over there. And if your meme gets the most reacts, then it'll be our meme of the week next week, as long as it is appropriate for this video. And there we go. That has been the Week in Geek chat. Let's give a special chats in the clap for Zando being our special guest for today. We appreciate you. Go check out Resident Evil 4 Remake streaming I think Xando said he was going to be doing like 8 or 10 hour streams for the next week.
Most
Just
likely.
that game.
Just
And,
the entire weekend.
Yep. So always need more Xando on stream. Agreed. And so be sure to check that out. Thanks for being a part of this. Now we're going to turn over to YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're on the Twitch chat, say hi, YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I thank you for watching. If you made it this far in this weekly Geekly News show, then I appreciate you watching. Odds are you liked this one enough to maybe click that thumbs up for me. So click that thumbs up button and let us know that you enjoyed this episode of the show. As always, drop your comments down below of thoughts that you might have had throughout the show. And we will see you again next week for another one of these. As always, remember, we believe 3 things to be true about every single one of you out there watching this. Whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, we still believe these 3 things to be true. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you, we want community with you. And number 3, that you, yes, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, until the next time, whether I see you in another video here on the YouTube channel or back here for the Week in Geek next week, I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye! And there we go. All right. Well, thank you, Xando. I appreciate your time, and I'm going to have to hop off quick if I'm going to get back in time to be with those girls. But I appreciate you and appreciate you being here on the show.
No problem. Just a real quick plug. Crime Boss Rock City on Epic is $32 right now if you buy it before the release date.
There we go. There we go. Rock City. Let's all play it. It needs to be our game. Let's become Rock City streamers. Love it. All right, Xando. Thanks again.
Of course.
All right, let me see if I can log out here. All right, folks, and I'm going to have to run because the girls are sick and they need me. So I got to get back to them. And please do drop a quick prayer if you're the praying type or sending good vibes or whatever for my family that we might get through strep quickly and that I hopefully do not get it because that sure would be a bummer and put a big damper on my weekend. But you never really know and you can't really control anything, so you just do the best you can. Folks, we believe 3 things we try. I just said it. I should be able to say it again. Thank you for watching this stream. I so appreciate you taking time out of your busy days to join us. We believe 3 things to be true about every single one of you out there. Number 1, that God loves you. Number 2, we love you. Number 3, that you matter. You're a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, we're going to go raid. It's been a while since we've raided Bad Gamer Elite. We're going to go raid our friend Bad Gamer Elite. If you would do me a favor, you should have gotten a You Matter emote whenever you followed this channel. If you would spam You Matters for Bad Gamer Elite, share some love with his chat. And until the next time I see you, whether it be right now on our Discord, whether it be next Tuesday on Twitch, or whether it be this Sunday for our nerdy sermon on Fulla Magi, Madoka Magica, I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye!